please see the link in this episode's description for a trailer for an element of Pugilism. And there is a Z-Fest like contest going on, so do with that as you will. I'm a libertarian. I want you to choose what you want to choose.
No, I mean, don't you want people to like us? That's the whole point of it.
I want people to like us for us, not because they feel like...
Because we told them to?
Yeah, we're informing them, and then they can make their own decision.
Well, please click the link and click like.
Thank you.
You're listening to this episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment. It would greatly benefit the show.
I'm still here. Hear me all right?
Yeah. Hello and welcome to Movie Bitters with the Farx brothers. I'm Kirk.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're here with, if you want to introduce yourself, you go
Sure,
ahead.
can I do that?
Yeah.
Please.
Oh, okay. All right. Ryan Becken, nice to see you. Thanks for having me.
I guess they saw a picture of you while
What?
they're... Oh,
Who's
you're talking to me. It's
Huh?
nice to see me, is what you're saying.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
I'm
thank you.
sorry.
What are you talking about?
I thought he was saying that to the audience.
Yeah,
like
we
it's,
record
nice to
this
see
live
me.
in front of audience. Yeah.
Did you say see me?
No, I don't think I did.
Okay.
If I did, I didn't mean it's nice to see me.
In between segments, Becca's like, "Whoa, I don't like talking about myself." And I'm like, "Stop being so Minnesotan. You were born in North Dakota."
Yeah.
That's something people can look forward to on segment 3 coming out later.
Yes.
Right.
That's for the interview.
What are we here to talk about, Ryan?
Oh, the movies?
The movies that we're
movies.
baiting.
That we're baiting. Okay.
Debating.
Right.
Masturbating.
Debating. Yes.
Yeah.
I get it.
Constibating. I don't know.
I figured out your title.
Thank you.
Yeah. The
We're
massive
master
pun.
debaters.
We're here. We're going to talk about The Outsiders and Rumblefish.
Can I tell a mean story about my wife first?
Yeah. Go ahead.
My wife. I get no respect at all. Please take my wife. This week on Please Take My Wife. I'm kidding. Is
Oh, is that a new segment?
it's a new segment, a story about Mrs. Farx. We you could get The Outsiders on disc at Target and on Blu-ray
For less than renting it?
for $6. Okay, and I put it in the thing, and now I'll admit I am derelict in the Target duties. You mentioned being a Costco, Sam's Club person. The segment coming later.
We're
which-
also a Target person. Yeah.
what?
Well, of course.
You gotta support Minnesota companies, obviously. Although we're also supposed to talk about how since they diversify or divested their DEI, that's not
Yeah.
okay. Or
Who said? Oh, whatever.
we've had guests who felt that way, and it was an interesting off mic conversation. So I take all of that into effect.
It was off mic. Why would you bring it on mic then?
Well, you don't know which guest it was.
Yeah.
It was clearly Paul Economon. It wasn't. So what happened was I put it in the cart, and it was going to get shipped to us the Wednesday before we record this Wednesday. We record
Last
on
week?
Wednesdays. Last week. And for whatever reason, it got taken out of the cart.
Uh-huh.
So I get to Sunday, and I'm not blaming my wife.
Uh-huh.
But she was making the order, and she said, "I see you put this in the cart." And I said, "Yes, I put this in the cart." And then it didn't get shipped to us like it was supposed to, because you can't go into Targets and buy discs anymore, as I'm sure you're both aware.
I'm not, but thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Did
Yeah.
you still see
I
the
don't
movie?
think
Did you get
I've-
the disc
I don't-
afterwards?
I would have guessed that. I would
Yeah.
have guessed it, but I haven't looked at a place to buy a disc in a long time.
Oh, really? I buy discs.
I don't
That's
do
like
anymore.
that's my guilty pleasure. Is like, ooh, I'm being so naughty right now. I'm spending $10 on a disc.
Yeah.
Physical media.
Yeah, all right.
And I'm training my sub 6-year-old children to put discs into a player, and
I like it. I just don't do it. I do appreciate the physical media. I mean, stuff's just gonna be gone anyways. I mean, it's like having a photo album, right? All the photos you got on your phone, of all your kids and whatnot. You ever print those out?
my in-laws and my parents have. I haven't. So,
Right.
but
You see what I'm saying?
But those little Apple stories they send you of, here's some music, some soft music with your young children.
I did that for years where we'd have we're supposed to talk about movies.
No, I want to hear this, please.
Well, no, it's just one of those things where you'd get all these photos of your kids, you know what I mean? As they're growing up or whatever, and it was like, you don't even know where they are on your phone. It's just this mess of just,
Photos.
5 years of them growing up, and I'm like, I gotta go, and I get into the cloud, and you're grabbing, must have printed off, 100 or so photos, and just sent them over to wherever, Shutterstock or not Shutterstock, whatever, Shutterfly or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And just got them back. And it's like, now you have these physical photos, and it's like, I don't know, they look and they mean more being printed on photo paper to me.
Yeah, I get
and
that.
they'll just be there. You just stick those in their little bin and you slide them under there, and now you got them. And I don't have to. I mean, it's more. There's a comedian, I don't know who it was, but he's like, I have more pictures, of my kids than my dad ever looked at me, and that cracked me up. I wish I could remember, but you know what I mean? Because it's true. Like I don't have that many photos of me as a kid. I mean, my parents took photos of me, but it's let's say there's 50. You know what I mean, of my whole life.
Sure.
Versus 50 on a Tuesday at a park. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And it's. Ugh.
I love those 50 pictures from the park, though.
No, you don't.
I do, because I like seeing them younger, and then how, because I'm
You
still in the
need
cute
one
stage.
of them. You need one.
I like the variety. I genuinely, I was having...
Wait, let's be fair. If Ryan's kids are listening, he loves you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I just wanted a picture of them on paper.
Yeah.
The school that they go to right now sends pictures of them to us throughout the day. So I'm at work getting pictures of them going, aw, fuck work. Oh wait, that's why I'm here. That's right. Sorry. Fun with my wife's story is she finds a picture of me as a baby. And I look like our first daughter. And I find her in the closet crying. Just
Wait, your
holding
daughter
the
or your
pictures
wife?
going, they look the same. And I think it's funny. I'm touched. Clearly she loves me. Is that what that is? I don't know. Because she made the child with me. And is looking at a picture of me as a baby similar age and they look the same. That's so wonderful. And just, So I had to go to Half Price Books to get a copy of The Outsiders while she was out of town, and I was watching both of our children, which I am lucky to do. So I go to Half Price.
Look at this guy. He's
future-proof.
trained.
Which I am. If they're listening,
she's not going to listen to this.
your kids might in the future.
That I do think about that, how weird it would be if they were 13 going, I was dad talking about Borderlands,
I mean, you already threw them under the bus a few times, so.
Oh yeah, there's a story in Ryan's interview about one of my kids, so that's good. See, I thought you picked this movie because your kids are about the ages of the children. Because they're supposed to be 14, 15 in The Outsiders and Fish, right?
Yeah, 14 to 16 or whatever. Yep.
Yes, because Ralph Macchio's character is 16.
Yeah, I think so. Pony Boy's 14.
Pony Boy, yeah, because he goes, I'm 14. I wrote that down when I was watching it.
Yeah. That's not why I picked it. I picked it because first I rewatched Rumblefish. When we were talking about this, and I didn't really have an idea what I want to watch, I was like, that Rumblefish intrigues me just in a few different ways, and mostly because when I watched both these movies in and out of the same time period. They were about the same year.
1983.
Which I find, that's crazy, just in general, just when you think about it. It's just nuts on how something like that was released, and there's Matt Dillon's in both these movies, and they're released, and I probably didn't see these movies till 1984. Realistically, somewhere in there, 85 probably.
Wait, you would have been younger than the characters in the movie, though.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I'll tell you a story. I got a story about that. I just thought of that, so I think I can pinpoint when I must have saw it. But on Rumblefish, I just rewatched it, and I know that I've watched it. I think I've watched it 3 times or maybe 4 in my entire life. And the first one was I was really young, and I did not like it. I just remember going this movie's boring and it sucks and it's black and white. Why am I doing this? Right? I thought it was going to be like The Outsiders when I was a kid, and then I watched it again, probably in, I don't know, college or something maybe, and I don't really recall what I thought of that, but then I was like, I'm going to rewatch it again. And I liked it. I liked it more than I thought I did. I was sitting down and I was like, I'll watch this for a while. I don't remember really liking it, but then I got into it. There was something I just recognized, I think, more of what the story was meant to be about, and I like the style of it. I like some of the weird, just the fight scene in here, it almost seems like you're watching a musical with the West Side Story to me, and I don't know why that was done that way.
West Side Story?
Yeah, I don't mind it.
Okay, yeah.
The original, I've seen it. Yeah, it's fine. I don't gravitate towards that.
Yeah.
But
you made a musical.
Yeah, but I mean that was like an anti-musical. We made a musical to make fun of musicals, so it really wasn't like a.
You have to love something.
It wasn't like, thank God I made a musical. It was like, it was, let's try to make a stupid musical.
Nathan Lane will finally know me.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like you. No.
Yeah. So I had a period of my life where I thought it was just something about the presence of like Mickey Rourke in movies when he was in that heyday that he had before he, dropped off. And
was this the late 80s, early 90s?
Yeah, it was 80s and 80s and 90s.
And this is when you were having this like, I need to watch Mickey Rourke movies, which is subsequent to your college years or part of your college years?
Yeah. It was after high school. So I got into in his character in this. I mean, the motorcycle boy. That everyone. I think most people know that name just from knowing this book, and the story.
I don't think people.
You don't think they know that?
I don't think people who fall under the age of 40 do.
Yeah.
Based on
Yeah, I certainly did know.
Yeah,
what?
I can follow that. But did you? Now just spin back to the Outsiders. Did you know of that movie?
Yeah, I remember seeing.
Because I feel
school.
like that's your fault if you don't. You know what I mean?
remember seeing in high school. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That was a shot at Mrs. Farx, who takes the pictures and
Yeah.
said she hadn't heard of it.
I could totally see where Rumblefish kind of faded into this like weird, because it's a strange movie, and I think even for this time, I think it was a strange. This was a strange. Not the idea of it. I mean, this could have been done in so many different ways. You know what I mean? The way it was done. I mean, just this. I'm sitting here. Not that
we're watching
radio.
the movie.
I can't really do radio for podcast or video for podcast, but
we can. But
we can, but we
don't.
don't. I'm not gonna.
Not gonna do it.
Where was I going there?
You were talking about the scene and how it looks. Oh, it's the fight scene where it's like West Side Story.
Yeah, I mean it's not done in a realistic fashion, and it's more of a. I mean, this is a
surrealist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
What's the story of how you can pinpoint when you first saw Rumblefish as a young lad?
Oh, I don't know if I can pinpoint that one, but when I saw The Outsiders.
Oh, excuse me, sorry.
I really think that movie is such what a good story, and I mean it's kind of an awful story too, just on all the things that the non-spoiler parts in this movie. But I mean just what some of these kids go through, but the social aspects of it. I mean, that's something that's still today. It's just the rich and the poor, and the and the upper class and the lower class, and thinking about your situation and your status. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's they're the greasers, they're the socials. I mean, it's so basic, but at the same point, that's something that a movie that was made in the 80s about the 60s that's now it's 2025, and really tell me what has changed since then.
What's a parallel you would draw, since you have kids that are this age, high school age kids? I think I'll try to seed the ground for you just while you're thinking, maybe that, like, I remember in high school being like, oh well, her dad's a lawyer, so she's more popular because she's both attractive and wealthy. And I remember my friend whose dad became a judge telling me that. And I'm like, what the hell, man?
But he put that on you, though, right? He gave you that idea, not that.
I'm saying he gave me that idea. I choose not to view the world through that way. But do you have a specific parallel between the class struggle and what you observe?
Well,
your children who are teens?
Right now, like that. Well, of course, there's that right now. I mean, where they go to school, there's a wide range of
economic backgrounds.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that you can view that as why would you view that as that's if you can it's like coexisting though. You know what I mean? I think that it's hard for me to say for sure if kids do that better now.
Probably not.
The only problem I'm saying that is I don't know. I'm not there. To witness that or whatever, like I was when I was that age. But
sure.
I do know for a fact though that kids, at least the ones that I've been around. So my experience of like my kids' friends.
Yeah.
And I'm talking even from the time they're from elementary school to now being like juniors and stuff in high school. Yeah. They have and not just my kids, but I'm happy to say that I think they're in that category. But other children have way more like empathy or understanding towards people that are, it could be just a handicapped kid or somebody with Down syndrome, or the acceptance of those children with different backgrounds or whatever issues they might have. I think the kids that are now, I think whatever happened in that realm from when I was a kid to now is a really positive. It's just a positive step that I like look at and I go,
good.
I'm like, wow, that's because when I was did not exist. That was not a thing that existed, and I would say, I'm maybe not as guilty as some,
sure,
but I definitely got some guilt on doing some,
I hear you.
things that you look back now and go like, God, did I do that? Did I say that? And you're kind of embarrassed about that, but you've grown, you've gotten better. But I just see that in kids now, and it's pretty great to see. Just like that kid on the baseball team, and they except they're not laughing at him, they're cheering for him.
Yeah.
To do well. It's and I love that. I love that. That's all. And so, but I still think there's a lot of issues between like, here's the rich, here's those, here's the rich, here's the poor. I mean, we're doing that right now. Everyone's talking about it. It's all that's covered is, the rich pay the we need the rich to pay the taxes. There's all the rich people, and then all this poor. I mean, it's.
Before we go on that path.
Well, I don't really want to go down that
good.
path. I'm just saying it's here right now.
Yeah.
I think of the movie 21 Jump Street with Jonah Hill, which I know is based on a TV show.
Yeah.
21 Jump Street. Which are you familiar with the movie?
Yeah, I've watched that.
Okay, so you remember the whole thing is he graduated high school in 2005 and he's going back to a high school that's graduating in 2011, and he like drops an F-bomb and not fuck in that movie, and they're like, whoa, dude, we don't do that anymore.
Right.
And it's like, oh yeah, that was the pivot point of like when we went into this new 2010s decade. It was like, no, we're going to try to be more sensitive. But here's the thing. Would your dad say you're a more empathetic father than he was to your kids?
Or from him to me?
Yeah, from him to you, would your father be like, hey, man, I think you're, more emotionally in touch with your children, or whatever you're trying to say about how the generations have evolved emotionally?
Would he say that? Yeah, I think he would. But I also know that there was a turning point, even with him, with my dad. I know there was a time where it was like, where he, at least in my mind, I guess I don't, it'd be tough to say for sure, but it's like, at one point, like all of a sudden it was like, yes, I think he would say that I'm more empathetic or like more focused or something on a kid. But to a point, I have nothing but like, I couldn't say anything negative about how my parents raised me. Or did I not lack anything, even though, you know what I mean? Like, nothing.
The generations changed because I've experienced, my father's a boomer, 50s boomer, born in the 50s, early 50s, almost the 40s. And he was like, oh, you and your brother-in-law are better fathers than like people of my generation were, because partially because we grew up with movies like The Outsiders that are looking back a generation and going, oh, how are like kids then and now the same?
But I honestly couldn't say that I'm a better father. I don't think I could say that I'm a better father than my dad.
I don't think it's quantitative as much as it's qualitative to generations.
Yeah, but that just means like I don't know if I could say that. I mean, I'd be curious to know if I am. I'm not saying I'm bad. I'm harder on my kids than I know some people are on their friends. I know that.
Yeah, but that's love in a way.
It is love in a way. You these kids got to get
expectations are the greatest thing a parent can give a child. Is sometimes what I'll say. And
wow.
Why are you laughing at me?
You can't.
You gotta set expectations.
Not in terms of like, I need you to be the best football player on the team, but like, we clean up these things when we're done. Was it pressure?
I mean, it's sort of like you want to use football as that. It's like you don't need to be the best football player on the team, but when you signed up for that team, you're going to finish.
Yeah.
Coach Q.
And you're going to be, the best teamate you can be. And those are the kind of lessons that come out. I mean, you don't even need to. I don't want to get into that. I'm a football guy.
Well, I'll get a boxing coach's, who's actually a basketball coach's thing. Coach Q says, I didn't ask you to be the best. I asked for your best.
Yeah, exactly.
And he says it exactly like that.
Yep.
And then I started mimicking him at the gym when we were doing squats, or like squat holds. Like, oh my God, I'm doing a squat hold right now. I didn't ask you to be the best. I asked for your best. And your kid's best. I think, more than another person would, and you'd want to, unless they're like a specialist. Like, no, your child is musically gifted, and I'm a specialist in this musical. Are you kids? What are they into beyond football? And I know we're talking about The Outsiders and Rumblefish. Have they seen either of these movies?
Yeah.
Are they into either of these?
They
movies?
watched The Outsiders when they were young. I showed them to that.
How young? Because I thought about showing it to the 3 and 5 year old because they would watch it. They would be.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't remember exactly. The nice part, what I fear about kids right now is the attention spans with social
with
media
TikTok
and stuff, man.
Instagram.
I mean, when they were kids, we'd sit down on the couch and I'd throw in something like this and Outsiders, and they would watch it. And there was a lot of, they watched probably Die Hard when they were like 6 and 8 or whatever, and they freaking love that movie, and they were like, "Dad, that was awesome. That's in my top 10." For the day. And but now when they're 13, 16, it's like to get them to sit and watch a movie is pretty hard.
What about Minecraft? Do they play Minecraft? Did they go to see the
Yeah, the
Minecraft movie?
No.
They didn't? Are they going to?
I don't know. I mean,
that's not your business, what they do.
Well, no, I mean, it is, but I don't think they're going to go see that.
Oh, really? Are they not, are they past that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But at the same point, I just don't think they don't want to sit. It's like to actually have to sit and watch a movie and not have your phone in your hand and doing all this stuff. It's really bad right now. I think it's terrible.
But at the same time, people will listen to a 3-hour podcast of their favorite subject.
But they're doing something else though. That's the other thing.
I will argue that here's my argument for modernity as we look back to 1983's Ford Coppola entries into the struggles with being a youth, that the ability to multitask due to technological advancement is good for society.
It is, but are they retaining more or less information? That's my counter.
We're better. So the kids in these movies, it kind of struck me that they lack mothers. So they lack female influence in their lives. It's like, I've got a drunk dad and I cuddle other men in bed. That, not in a sexual way, but what?
Okay.
Do you disagree that both of those things happen in both movies?
They do, but I don't see what the correlation is.
I think because of our access to information and other people's modes of being, we're better able to self-select into the things we want to do and increase our output and productivity, whatever that may be. We're all movie makers because technology advanced in a way that allowed us all to, Ryan, you a little bit before Kirk, for example, but, you had to do it before it was digital, so that was huge. And, I remember going off of those fucking tapes, and I hated that shit. And I've said that before on the show.
Well, that was like the dark time, man. It was like you had. Well, it was. It's kind of like you had film, right? And that's good. And then they put in, beta VHS tape and all this other stuff, which was like cheaper, faster, all this stuff for everything else. But it was the quality of it was just trash. You know what I mean? Well, so it was like a trash product if you were shooting on that.
Yeah.
And then it took until you could catch up. It took a long time, really. Took my whole effing life, really, to be able to, now you can make a, pretty image and have it projected and look good, but without having to be able to afford film. I mean, that was, it was just the technology, like you're saying. It just took that long or they, made it take that long, whichever you want to look at it. I don't know which.
Sure. No, but even going back to 2015, going back to 2005. So I go back to 2005 when I was working off of tapes, but then I think about you going back to 1990, the late 90s.
Yeah.
And that's a different, bigger cameras, tape stock is worse. Mm-hmm. And then when I was doing in the mid 2000s, late 2000s, off of these DV tapes, is that what they were?
Yeah.
And you probably don't even remember any of that crap, do you? You were on SD cards your entire life.
SD cards. No, I remember using those tapes for cameras.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, do you think that these young boys in these movies set in the first one, The Outsiders is set in the 60s?
Yeah.
And Rumblefish is set in the late 70s. It's also set in the 60s?
No, I don't know. I don't 100% know in that movie.
Which would you watch first? If you were someone coming into this cold?
Outsiders.
You'd watch Outsiders because it's the more touchstone kind of movie and culture that people return to. And young Tom Cruise is like, oh, what the hell?
Yeah, it just has that. I mean, there's the emotion that The Outsiders brings out is, far superior than in Rumblefish. Rumblefish is like an art piece. And the music in Rumblefish, I hate it. Like,
did?
I did not like it at all.
There's it's
like tin can, it's like very drummy and like, I mean, there's portions of it that are good, but there's some sections that I'm like, I don't understand the choice here. I don't get it. I don't understand the choice. But on The Outsiders, when that's it. It's the way more of the orchestra score or
which version? Because there's the Outsiders version that was in theaters. There's then the longer version that he did later because Coppola always changes.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the original one.
The 90-minute version.
Yeah, the 90-minute one.
Oh wow. I don't think I've ever seen that version, to be quite honest.
The 90-minute version?
The 90-minute version, because that has Francis Ford Coppola's father's score in it.
Yeah.
And the later, the more complete, the complete novel edition.
Yeah.
That uses different music than.
Really?
Yes.
That I don't even.
Yeah, I didn't see the novel version. I just saw the 90-minute one.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shoot! Borrow this disc that I had to get from Half Price Books.
Well, let me just see what.
How many more extra minutes does it have?
20 something.
Oh.
I wrote it down in my notes.
I think maybe I have watched this. I don't know, or else I'm thinking of Apocalypse Now.
Oh yeah, in Apocalypse Now, it's
20 more worth of 500 more minutes in that one, right?
Is it an extra hour or is it 20? I can't remember.
No, I think it's more than 20 minutes.
Yeah, because there's Redux and then there's the original one, and I still don't understand why one's longer than the other one. Just because they spent a lot of money making that movie and wanted to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's your relationship to Ford Coppola? To kind of cap this off,
he was just that guy when growing up, that was he was just the big time, one of the big time filmmakers.
He was going through a period of failures at this point though, because he had the Godfather, right?
Yeah.
And then after Godfather Part 2 and The Conversation in '74, he goes through like 5+ years of things not working. And The Outsiders was an attempt to like get back to making movies that made money, because he made some movie in the late '70s that was the greatest disaster of all time, or something like that.
Well, which movie? You're not talking about Apocalypse Now, right?
No. Apocalypse Now was that 79?
Like 79, yeah.
That's not the one that bankrupted his studio. There was one where he was like shooting a bunch of things at Chariots of Fire or something. No, that's not right. Someone can Google this right now. My point is just that, to me, this is like later Coppola. Mm-hmm. It's in that like mark after Apocalypse Now, where it's like his essential Coppola is Godfather 1, 2, Conversation, and then Apocalypse Now. But then later on, he's doing like Jack.
Yeah.
Did you see Megalopolis? Do you have an opinion?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Are you going to watch it?
No, probably not. Which is that
Probably
one?
A good thing not to see it.
I gotta see it?
No, a good thing not to see it.
Oh, good thing not to see it. So I mean, as far as a relationship goes, I mean, I'm not, I don't nerd out like hard like that when it's just like, I mean, my relationship was more with like this movie or this story. If anything, it's more of the story. And as a kid, just the power that this movie had on me as a kid. I mean, I remember showing up, it was 3rd or 4th grade, and I brought my dad's like one of his fishing tackle knives, because I was gonna be a greaser, and
at school.
Yeah. Get in a fight, yeah.
And somebody, some kid told on me, and then, a teacher, came over or whatever, and she, and it was, I don't know what the hell what they would do to a kid now, for doing that, but at
Guantanamo Bay.
Pretty much, and in my life, this was, why did you bring this? And I'm like, well, because I watched this movie and I was going to be like soda pop or whatever, and she's like, oh, she knew, that was the outsider. She's like, well, I'm going to take this for now, and don't bring this back to school. You know what she did? She gave me that knife at the end of the day and told me to bring it home. My dad still got it in his tackle box. You know what I mean? And that was the end of it. That was the end of that. And I didn't bring a knife to school again. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
I was so like enamored with that movie, and and even at that young age, that movie's got a pretty tragic ending, and you felt that as a kid. It was like it was one of those, might have been one of the first movies that I can remember as young, like getting attached like that, and then you watch something terrible happen, you felt sad. It had that emotional power on me as a kid, which now it's just like one of those classic movies that I watch that still like almost brings back the, it's connected to my youth, I would say.
Right.
Yeah.
And that might be more. There's tons of movies like that in the 80s that I watched that I could do that with. They kind of had that magic for me that made me love movies and do the things that I, like to do now. And
Inspired you as an artist?
Absolutely.
Not a nerd, though.
Well,
Sorry.
I'm not a nerd, brother.
Yeah, an artiste.
Well, I'm a Farx brother, but
I'm nerdy at some things, but I just don't nerd out where I like have to know everything about everything that I'm looking at. That's just not one of my. I just take it for what it is, I guess. And then if I need to know more, I'll find out. I mean, I don't know backstories or hidden things about everything that I like. Like I might not even be interested. You know what I mean? I don't even know if I care to know about some of that stuff. I just like the piece for what it is.
that reminds me of my father saying, I don't like bands. I like specific songs, okay?
Yeah.
So I didn't get into this band. Sorry to compare you to my adopted father, but
Yeah, well, that's what I feel. I probably,
I had thought of another story, but that was a great place to end it, on you learning not to bring knives to school.
Thank you for listening. For more on JK Productions, find us on Instagram at JK Productions Team and on Facebook, JK Productions MN.